Good evening everyone, and welcome back to Yaps for Naps. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the prehistoric inhabitants of our Earth, the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs lived many millions of years ago and ranged in size from small carnivores to large herbivores. Today I'm going to talk about a variety of dinosaurs, ranging from velociraptors to triceratops and everything in between. So, without further ado, let's talk about the velociraptor. The velociraptor, often depicted as strong, agile pack hunters. However, in reality, their size and hunting habits varied from their on-screen counterparts. In reality, they were about the size of a bird of prey, such as a hawk, which is one of their many modern-day descendants. They were also solitary, opportunistic hunters, scavenging for food and preying on small animals such as mammals, reptiles, and other dinosaurs. There's no evidence to suggest that they hunted in packs and were aggressive, seeking out a fight. They did, however, have their iconic sickle-shaped claw. This was used to stab or pin small prey to prevent escape, rather than a means of a direct, aggressive attack. In reality, they likely used their small size, feathers, and speed to lie in wait before ambushing and attacking vulnerable creatures. Their media depiction as large, aggressive pack hunters most likely stems from their cousins, Deinonychus or Utahraptors, who were larger in size, about the size of a human, and potentially hunted in packs. Next, I'd like to talk about one of the largest dinosaurs to ever exist, the Brachiosaurus. The Brachiosaurus earns its name, which means arm lizard. This originates from its longer front legs. Having long front legs and a short tail compared to other sauropods meant that they would have had a posture similar to that of a giraffe in modern day. This posture is relevant to their eating habits, as it allowed them to feed on tall trees and cycads, stripping them of their leaves using their pencil-like teeth. Did you know that these prehistoric giants could grow to the size of a 4-story building and weighed nearly as much as a small herd of elephants? Compared to other sauropods, the Brachiosaurus was identifiable due to a small but distinct crest on its head. This was likely used for resonating loud calls and communication between herds, or potentially as a large nasal cavity, allowing it to have a strong sense of smell to seek out the freshest leaves amongst the tall trees and cycads of its time period. Now I'm going to talk about one of my favourite dinosaurs, the Dilophosaurus. The most defining feature of a Dilophosaurus are the two distinct crests on the top of its head. These are its namesake, as its name directly translates to two-crested lizard. Now, despite this naming structure, it's not related to the similarly named Monolophosaurus, the one-crested lizard. On the Dilophosaurus, these crests were thought to be used to recognize its own species and to attract mates. In order to attract mates, these crests would often be accompanied by a prehistoric mating performance, including dance-like movements and mating calls. The Dilophosaurus resided in swamps and forests, feeding on fish, small reptiles, and herbivores. Its diet has been theorized due to its sharp interlocking teeth, notched jaw, and high-placed nostrils, resembling the structure of modern-day fish-eating reptiles, the crocodiles. Due to its strong jaws and claws, the Dilophosaurus would have likely been the apex predator of its environment, targeting weakened animals to conserve energy, while still retaining its ability to attack larger herbivores or defend itself if necessary. They were large, agile predators, roughly the size of a brown bear. However, they would have had a long, slender figure, allowing for more refined movement, which is what earned them their spot close to the top of the food chain in their environment. Next, I'd like to talk about another herbivore, the Triceratops. The Triceratops was a large, herbivorous dinosaur that roamed the late Cretaceous period. often characterized by its 3 facial horns and large bony frill. This distinct appearance makes it widely recognizable in a variety of media. The Triceratops is thought to have used these horns for defense against predators like the T-Rex. However, similarly to the Dilophosaurus, they may have also used them in mating displays or social interactions within its herd. We can theorize that Triceratops may have lived in herds due to fossil evidence, as multiple individuals being buried together often indicates herd-like behavior. The Triceratops mostly fed on low-lying plants like ferns and cycads, which it would likely strip from the ground with its beak-like mouth and grinding teeth. Now, despite its size and defensive features, the Triceratops was likely a relatively slow-moving dinosaur that relied more on these features for protection, such as its frill and horns, than on its speed. Now, onto the T-Rex. Known as one of the largest carnivorous dinosaurs, the T-Rex had a massive skull, powerful jaws, and teeth designed for crushing bone and tearing flesh. Now, although its tiny arms are often mocked, they were likely still functional, possibly used in mating or to help raise itself from a prone position, such as when it's let down sleeping or it's knocked over in an aggressive interaction. The T-Rex was a top predator in its environment, and there is debate over whether it was purely a scavenger or an active hunter. However, its keen senses suggest it was capable of both. Fossils show evidence of healed injuries in the T-Rex. This suggests that these dinosaurs may have engaged in fierce battles either with each other or with other predators. Now, despite its large size, the T-Rex likely had a relatively fast running speed, possibly reaching up to 20 to 25 miles an hour in short bursts. This feature made it an extremely formidable hunter in its time. Next up, we've got the Parasaurolophus. The Parasaurolophus was a herbivorous, duck-billed dinosaur that lived alongside the Triceratops in the late Cretaceous period, around 76 to 73 million years ago. The Parasaurolophus is best known for its long, curved, hollow crest, which scientists believe was used for communication, possibly producing deep, resonant sounds, used for mating or just general communication amongst a herd. Fossils of the Parasaurolophus have been found mainly in what is now the United States and Canada. This indicates that it lived in lush, forested environments. Parasaurolophus was unique in that it could walk on both 2 legs, being bipedal, and also 4 legs, quadrupedal, likely switching depending on speed and activity. As part of the hadrosaur family, it had hundreds of tightly packed teeth arranged in dental batteries, perfect for grinding up tough plant material, probably feeding on small cycads or low plants, similar to the Triceratops. Finally, I'd like to talk about the Spinosaurus. The Spinosaurus was a large, formidable, semi-aquatic predator that lived during the Cretaceous period. It had a distinctive sail-like structure on its back and a long, crocodile-like snout. This suggested that it specialized in catching fish, possibly even hunting in aquatic environments, though it's also likely it hunted along the shoreline for terrestrial prey. Fossil evidence indicates that the Spinosaurus had several adaptations for swimming, including a flexible paddle-like tail and possibly webbed feet. This makes it one of the few dinosaurs that truly adapted to life in the water. Unlike most theropods, the Spinosaurus had relatively short hind limbs and may have walked on all fours when on land, though it's likely it was still capable of bipedal movement. It's considered one of the largest carnivorous dinosaurs to ever exist, with some estimates suggesting it could grow over 50 feet in length, surpassing even the T-Rex in size. Thank you for joining me today to talk about dinosaurs. dinosaurs. If you enjoyed this topic or have any other suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you, sweet dreams, and goodbye.